Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, slow intro there. I don't know what happened, but listen, Discord is open, right? We have the free version open for everybody. First link in the description. Highly recommend joining it because you still get some value and you become a part of the community. And of course, people that want private and stuff and extra information, of course, that is also another option as well. Listen, we're going to start covering Zebec network more consistently. And ladies and gentlemen, we are also going to cover some of the fundamentals on Zebec more consistently as well. Okay. So with that being said, let's just jump right into it. All right. 13 hours ago, we see excited to welcome two talented leaders to the Zebec team. Right. I don't even know how to call him. I'm just going to call him Giro. A senior product manager joins us after serving a principal engineer at London Stock Exchange Group and holding senior roles at Royal Bank of Scotland and Expedia, bringing deep expertise in financial systems and big data. So, absolutely huge WWW asset. Massive win. Okay. All right. We have Ike, head of UI/UX, comes aboard with a stellar background as UX, UI designer and product manager at BMW, right? Volkswagen, right? We have Lucid Software, right? Kraft Heinz, spices. Well, this is just spices, but like, I mean, come on, that's still impressive, right? So spanning automotive, FMCG, and e-commerce. So it is looking really, really good, right? Two huge assets added to the Zebec team, which obviously, right, I am personally excited to see how much better this project can get, right? The type of collaborations it's going to have, the type of innovation, the type of ideas, right? Their experience will help us continue refining Zebec's products and UX as we scale, right? So very, very good. Very, very good. So massive W, we can see got a lot of traction, 73,000 views in 13 hours, 1.1K likes. We could also see 10 hours ago that Zebec leadership to speak in the British Parliament, right? House of Lords on regulation and compliance on July 10th. So we can see, right? Absolute W. Absolute massive W in the last 24 hours. Now, I know people are going to say, but what about the price? What about this? What about that? And listen, we'll jump into it, right? We'll jump into explain why price has been dumping. I need you guys to really understand this, and I need you to really trust me on this, that just because there's positive news doesn't mean automatic pump. Okay. For example, right, let's say scenario one, we have Zebec with 10 good things that come about Zebec, right? Some big, some medium, some small, just but 10 things, right? And let's say hypothetically that causes Zebec to pump from 0.002 to, let's say, 2 cents. Okay. So still great. You still made a little bit less than 10x, whatever, right? We're not counting market cap. We're not counting anything else. We're just doing a hypothetical, right? Let's talk about scenario two, where the same thing kind of happens, price sells off and etc. But maybe 50 things come out, maybe 70 things come out, maybe 100 things come out, anywhere from good, medium, and small. And instead of going to 2 cents, this thing shoots up to 6, to 7, to 8, to 9. Because that's the thing with news, people, right? It's a compound effect for the future. Yes, there's certain news events that could cause a big rally, certain rumors, etc. That it could be groundbreaking news, of course. But you have to realize most of the stuff, even if it's great, even if it's excellent, it is something more for the future. Is that going to be the difference between 5 cents and 7 cents, or 10 cents, or 15 cents? Or is it going to hit 30 because of the news that comes out over the next few short months? That is how news works in this, okay? You have to realize that's how news works. And also, something like technical analysis is very important. The reason why Zebec, one of the reasons why Zebec has shot up the way it did is because, ladies and gentlemen, we were consolidating for roughly almost a year, going sideways for roughly almost a year. And then we had a nice big candle in April. Then we can see the late April, we had roughly a 2 to 3 week period where we're just going sideways. We were respecting these highs over here, right? We're respecting it. And then what happens after 2 weeks later? Boom, we shoot up, right? We shoot up. And then what happens after these 2 weeks? Well, ladies and gentlemen, 6, 7 weeks later, we're down to where we are right now. And that was expected, right? That was expected. We called it out in the private community, having certain buys around just this type of price range. And then we also literally called the sells somewhere in this price range, right? So we can see almost the last relevant bottoms and practically almost the top. And we knew price was going to be dumping. Why? Because everything, and I mean everything, needs a correction at one point. And altcoins are more prone to quicker corrections than something like Bitcoin. Okay? Bitcoin, gold, Forex pairs, altcoins, Zebec, all will have a correction at some point. Okay, you just have to look at the context. And what is the context? Well, obviously, Zebec is a altcoin. It's a good altcoin, has a lot of high potential, but it did just go sideways for almost a year and pump up, right? So it was due for a correction after that. That was the context. Okay. We are also, ladies and gentlemen, going to be looking, and confirming some things, right? Where can ZBEC go to, right? Where can ZBEC go to? How low can it go? Now, personally, if we take it from practically the last relevant bottom before it really pushed up, we can see we're between 78 and 88%, right? That is already good. For me, that is actually a very, very nice golden zone where, in my opinion, not a financial advisor, but in my opinion, that is where you should really start dollar cost averaging because it is just a prime price. You are practically down, let's just say practically 80 to 90% down from the big pump, the big correction, right? You could argue, well, we could take it all the way to the bottom, but I do think these bottom points should be really irrelevant for ZBEC. Like this whole green box down here really should be irrelevant. Okay. So I don't see it, I don't see this, pulling back the Fibonacci down here as being relevant. I see this being more fair because this is the relevant turning point. Okay. So for me, this green box is already where I would personally start dollar cost averaging. Okay. When we look at the technical analysis, as of right now, we don't have any confirmation, absolutely zero, that we are going to reverse. Now, I will say something is brewing up, right? We went from aggressively selling downwards to all of a sudden the last day or so kind of going sideways, right? Kind of going sideways. So this could be the beginning of trying to break out of this zone. Okay. This really, really could. So if I were looking at this zone and I was thinking, well, there's a decent chance we might push past it, then yeah, I would buy it. I would click buy personally, right? Because I don't care even if it goes down another 15, 20%, because I would just buy again. Right? I am super, super high on this project overall, and I just see dollar cost averaging different, right? When I know a price or when a coin is at a good price, I just buy, even if it can go another 10, 20% lower, right? That is just the way I personally see the markets. Now, overall, ladies and gentlemen, for me, right, I still think this project is going to do fantastic. I do think this project could really go nuclear. There is a chance that we actually do, if depending on what kind of altcoin season we have, and obviously the next couple of months with Zebec and its partnerships and etc. But this coin can even hit up to 60 cents. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be a discussion for another video. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy. I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.